So here, when you are upset, remember Bodhicitta. When you are afraid, remember Bodhicitta. When the suffering rises, remember Bodhicitta. Dewa chungta, changchu semde cha. Dungal chungta, changchu semde cha. Dewa chungta, changchu semde cha. When the happiness rises, remember Bodhicitta. So, you see, so, he's talking, you see, he is talking what to do those lives. When you're so sad, when you're so frightened, so much fear, what I would do. When the cancer or what any relationship problem or anything, any suffering rises, sickness or relationship problem or anything, when the suffering rises, remember Bodhicitta. And when the happiness rises, remember Bodhicitta. So, so this way, your life is not wasted. Oh, so much suffering, so much fear, so much upset, then you don't remember Bodhicitta, then your life is wasted. Your life is become empty. Not meaningful, not beneficial for sentient being, not beneficial even for yourself, or the self-chasing thought, not beneficial even for yourself. So your life is so much wasted. With the pressure of the human life, that's one time that we have. Unbelievable precious, and then totally wasted. So, then it says, then also, even your life, the happiness, but again, you see, during those times, and then if you don't, especially don't realization, then happiness is essential pleasure. I mean, then you don't remember Bodhicitta. Again, so happy, your mind is so excited, so happy. Then again, you don't remember Bodhicitta, practice Bodhicitta, you don't remember. Then again, life is wasted. So much is wasted and non-virtue. You see, day and night life become non-virtue. Only creating cause of lower realm, cause of the sufferings of this life, that you see, sufferings at death time when you die. So, so in this way, when you remember Bodhicitta, then you see, even you are upset, and then your upsetness helped for sentient beings, useful for sentient beings. For you and all sentient beings become useful. And so brings happiness. When you're frightened, remember Bodhicitta, so that helps you, and that helps to all. Your fear, frightened, helps all sentient beings, because by Bodhicitta. When you experience suffering, if you remember Bodhicitta, then it helps you. It helps all the sentient beings. The suffering become sport for your happiness, and the happiness, sport for the happiness of all sentient beings. And even you get happiness but no, your life not wasted and become non-virtuous, none of that. You remember Bodhicitta, then the life become, your happiness is dedicated for all sentient beings. Not only for you, but so meaningful, the happiness, not that become meaningful to all the sentient beings, all like that. just actually, in Nepal earthquake time, when the earthquake how much? Six. The first one. It was 6, no? Okay. So I was at a couple of months upstairs in the sitting room, because the big room, there's Chonran Tara, large ones, Chonran Tara, this much. Then other structures, generosity and that Tangas. So I was there, then earthquake and so because not because Bodhicitta, but because I'm a little bit familiar with the words, thought transformation words, I know the words a little bit. I know the words. You see, because I know intellectually, I know the words. So, I don't know, it could be a concept of permanence, but there's no fear down in the heart. So it could be a concept of permanence. Because it's a concept of permanence, even you're going to die by car accidents, 1 minute after, still you have this comforters, so kind of, maybe like that, I'm not sure. So I was doing like this, but because I'm familiar with the words, so I said, man. I'm repeating from Lama Chaba, Tena Judan Lama, all the other Dodonga, Kancharu, Tikandala Mijin. Dagetege, Dodonga, Kancharu, Tikandala Mijin, Dagetege, Sawa, Tinshala Minji, whatever suffering the Nagajona's words, whatever suffering sentiments may be happened to me. Whatever happiness I have, virtue, I have maybe happened towards all the sentiments. So I was repeating that. The statues all fell down. On the table, round table, this big Buddha, very nice art statue. I buy at the shop. So there are a few other statues, then they all fall down the table. Then Sangmo came. He hold the table. Take a high goer, sing high goers mantra. With the serious face. Then I went out. There was a few other monks. And the one monk, I don't know, he learned something. Everybody had to sit down, not stand. He said. Then everybody sat down. Then Jimba, and he took me, dragged me, he took me from upstairs, downstairs steps, and then took me outside. So I stayed, how many days? 1 week? 10, 12 days I stayed outside. There was a small earthquakes every day, a few times. So the next day, I was outside, and then I think maybe 6 or 4. Yeah, another earthquake happened the second day. Trees drawn like this on the hill, Then there are many small earthquakes happened for a long time. Yeah, so there were because people I know, so intellectually, and so even I can remember it. Because usually goes like that fear, you wouldn't remember at all. Even I can remember the words, that's some familiarity with the words. So that's actually it's become political. It's become political kind of lojong, political, because not from the heart. It's the words repeating. So political lojong, political. So like that. So anyway. You can see, even there's no realization Buddhism, but see, at least if you can repeat the words. So good. It helps for you and for others. So that. So of course, reality should be from the heart. You should, but I'm just repeating the words. So like that. So the Bodhicitta has to be. We have to live with the Bodhicitta. You see, for example, reciting one mala or mantra, or making food offering or something, or reciting one mala or mantra or whatever. So the most important thing is motivation, Bodhicitta. Then it transformed. Then it becomes cause of enlightenment, cause to achieve buddhahood for the sentient beings, for numberless sentient beings, for everyone, You see, if you're able to generate Bodhicitta, what you are going to recite, each mantra, on mala, on mala pemu, or what you're going to lama tunga, guru yoga, whatever. See everything become cause of enlightenment, and to be able to enlighten every single sentient being. To be able to enlighten every single sentient, benefit to every single sentient being, and enlighten every single sentient being. Buddhahood. Become that. It's one mala, so each mantra become most beneficial for every sentient being. Every single mantra you recite 108 in one mala, because what a benefit brings happiness, enlightenment, sentiment to achieve enlightenment. Not only temporary happiness, and the ultimate happiness, and the temporary happiness, not that, the enlightenment. you see, sentient beings to enjoy the peerless happiness and enlightenment. So because of that, every single mantra you recite. So, I thought the motivation is most important. Of course, everything is perfect. Preparation, the motivation, best bodhicitta, the actual body, all the meditation. Then completion, dedication. Because completion, dedication. So, you see, enlightenment, to dedicate merits, to achieve enlightenment, oneself to achieve enlightenment for sentient being. And then from those three, then I think is most important the motivation, bodhicitta. That's the most. Then otherwise, offering to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to Buddha, because then everything, even the motivation is the attachment to this life, not Dharma, but you see, offering to Buddha, that becomes a cause, not only Dharma, but a cause of enlightenment. Cause of enlightenment, they become even the motivation by the power of the Buddha. Here, normal action becomes non-virtuous, the motivation non-virtuous, and the result suffering. But here, with Buddha, the statues, stupas, scriptures, who don't see Buddha, like myself, as ordinary beings. So we see the statues, stupas, scriptures at the moment, and so with the power, no question actually seeing Buddha, but due to their power, or then the action, even the motivation is a total non-virtual attachment to this life. But our action, we make offering, prostration, circumambulation to the statue Buddha, scripture Buddha, stupa Buddha, then everything becomes enlightenment. There's a power to meditate the statue, stupa, scripture Buddha. So I think the motivation as well, so the meditation, or Deva Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, or the reciting Mani Padme Hung, or one mala, or motivation is the most important thing, to make sure they not just run to do your commitment, not just that, but put effort in motivation, bodhicitta. So important. So that helps to every mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, how much you recite, every single mantra, it helps for sentient being, every sentient being to achieve happiness. So that's how I want to say that. So, by the way, many old students, because I met him many times, so many old students might know, but some may not know. So anyway, I didn't get mentioned before. So motivation is like that. So the benefit to numberless sentiments, each mantra of Mani Padme Hum, it brings happiness to every sentient being. Then enlightenment. Not only that, become unceasing, the unfinishing and unceasing. The benefit of that with the Bodhicitta recite of Mani Padme Hum, so the benefits is the unceasing. Benefit is unceasing. And not only that, when you dedicate the merit, so that I've been not been doing it for a long time. So, so without dedicating for enlightenment, to achieve enlightenment for sentient being, then it's even it become dharma, virtue, but it's like water tree, chushing, the banana daughter Eden said this one time, and then so the Holy Mother said, not from that tree, but another tree, another banana, that tree dies completely, but then another tree grows nearby, the other tree grows, then that brings the banana. So the real is true, only one time. Only they bring banana only one time. So commonly, I don't know what the different learned ones, they have different, what they mean, water tree, but otherwise, commonly what seems water, the banana tree. So that night it became different reversing, but it's become same. It's become one. So it's like that. Even it became dharma, virtue, but it's also one time you get the result and finish by that. So, but you see, even dedication, if you dedicate the merit, what you collected to achieve enlightenment for sentient being, if you dedicate the merit to achieve enlightenment, yourself to achieve enlightenment for the sentient beings, to free from the oceans of samsara suffering, and to bring to peerless happiness, buddhahood, total cessation, obscuration, completion, realization. Then you are made to become unceasing, never finish, unceasing, unceasing, sabamba. So it's like you, Lord Gyatu $, Lord Gyatu asked Buddha, so Buddha explained. So you put one drop in the ocean. So until the ocean dries, drop never finish. By putting the one drop of water from outside, put it in the ocean, then it gets mixed with the ocean, so it will enter the ocean. See? So until the whole ocean gets dry, the little drop never dry. So you can as long as you enjoy the ocean, use water from the ocean, you use the drop, that one small drop is mixed with the ocean, so you always enjoy that. So Buddha dedicated your merit, also dedication time, also dedicated to achieving enlightenment for sentient being. or then become unceasing, never finish. Unceasing. So until the ocean dry, the drop never dries. It's the one that's become ocean. So like that, become unceasing. So therefore dedicating, when you dedicate merit to achieve enlightenment, yourself to achieve enlightenment, to free the numberless sentient beings from the oceans of samsara suffering, and to bring to buddhahood, total cessation, obscuration, completion, realization. All that, it's very most important. You must realize that. You must understand that. And then you see, otherwise what happens? If you don't dedicate merit to achieve enlightenment, then what happens is that even your actions become dharma, become merit. But you see, then sooner or later anger rises, and the heresy rises. Those other things, ill will. So it destroys the merit. So like that, you see. Anger is so easy, our minds have been habituated into that, not with patience, but with anger, from beginningless rebirth. So that was so unbelievably easy to get angry. And then also heresy and those things are so very easy to rise. So impatience is more difficult, so like that. Of course, then, whose mind is more trained with patience, then easier patience, they're angry. So after some time, by practicing patience, after some time, the anger rises, but anger rises very short time. 1 minute or a few seconds, or even 1 second, rises and stops. So when your mind is more trained in patience, all like that, then rises anger less and less. So like that. So if you dedicated merit to achieve enlightenment for sentient being, then afterwards, if you get heresy, anger, it still harms, but cannot destroy completely your merit. Cannot completely. It becomes weaker. What you have to understand is become weaker. For example, Japavanga gave an example in when he was anyway, in his collection of teachings, he explained there's when the trucks came, took the stones away, but you see, still there's the mountain left. When the trucks have taken away the rocks from there, but still the basic mountain is left. Also like that. So even after you dedicate your merit to achieve enlightenment, the heresy and the anger, those things rises, it destroys it doesn't destroy completely, but it makes it weaker than your merit. Like this example. So therefore, then the reason why when I dedicate merit, it was sitting with the emptiness, meditation of ultimate nature, emptiness only, talking about me. Looking at the empty, or the subtle divine rising, it's coming to the same point, empty. Coming to the same point. So subtle divine rising, or looking at the empty. Empty of existing from its own side. That one. Because which we believe day and night, and from birth, not only from this morning, not only from birth, from the beginningless rebirth, we even believe in this, everything, including I. including the I, also everything in hallucination. Like dream, like mirage. So there are many examples. So carefully. So if you dedicate merit to not become weaker, if the anger, heresy, rises later, do not become weaker, your merit. So you need dedicate merit for enlightenment, then you seal with the emptiness. You dedicate while you're looking at the empty, or while you're looking at the subtle dependent arising. So like that. That's I dedicated. So, yeah, and normally, all like that. So, however, if the correct words are used, even you don't know what it means, but exactly, but you got the correct teaching, correct words, and you dedicate the correct words, and then it leaves positive imprint on the mind. So slowly you can understand from that. So the reason why I do the dedication by sealing of the emptiness, that's a big reason. That's so that heresy, anger rises later, it doesn't make weaker your merit. And the reason why it can do that is because what eliminates the root of samsara is ignorance, holding the I as truly, while not. Never exists from its own side, from beginningless rebirth. So that is eliminated completely by only the ultimate wisdom realizing that the I is empty of existing from its own side. So because of that, because it cut that root of all the suffering that which we have been experienced from beginningless rebirth, it's only eliminated by, it's eliminated by only ultimate wisdom realizing emptiness.